If saying no brings guilt, shame, fear, or shutdown, this video is going to explain why. Welcome, my name is Salimah, yoga therapist, and we are doing a deep dive into the trauma response of fawning, your nervous system, and how to use Kundalini yoga in order to move through these different segments of the fawn response. I'm really glad that you're here. This kind of learning is so vitally important because the more you know about your own patterns, the more you know about your nervous system, the better equipped you are to shift those patterns, change those patterns, and identify when you might be falling into default stuff, okay? So let's start with an idea of what are boundaries, what are they for, and then why it's so difficult for those of us who have a fawn response to actually establish boundaries. Okay? So I think about boundaries twofold. Number one, a boundary keeps me intact, keeps me safe, keeps the wanted in, and it keeps, number two, is that it keeps the unwanted out. Keeps the wanted in and the unwanted out. So it serves two functions. Boundaries are really for us. They aren't about, telling everybody what to do and how to do, but actually what do we need? What are our base desires? What is the safety that we need? What is the clarity we need about where we want to put our energy? What do we have time for? What do we have capacity for? And so that's why I think of boundaries as really pertaining to what is best for me. And how everybody responds to boundaries is a whole other element, okay? So let's talk about boundaries and why they are important. What are they connected to? So I think this one in particular, we need to trace back to some of the other survival strategies that we have in our life. In particular, the fight response. So fawning is a type of survival strategy, and so is the fight response. And the fight response is something has trespassed, come too close, offended me in some kind of way, touched on my value system in a way that is not tolerable. It is proximity even. It is a violation. It is a boundary, a crossing of a boundary is a trespass. And when we have a trespass, our natural inclination is to get angry. Like, hey, get out of here. Hey, stop that. And for most of us, if we are born as girls, if we live in a woman's body, if we were raised as girls, if we were queer, non-binary, people of color, then you can see very clearly and very quickly why anger was probably not allowed. In fact, very, very simply not permitted. And we were allowed to have any other response, but not anger. We were not allowed to express anger, not allowed to defend ourselves, and not allowed to actually exert our boundaries. Then we come to a point in our life, a little bit further down the line, where we no longer have the capacity to express them, to even identify that a trespass has happened. And so this becomes a really messy kind of topic. So it's really important to think about boundaries not as logical, but rather as energetic. And rather, our nervous system, our fawn response, as being our body's way of trying to compensate for that lack of knowingness. Right? So if we never had the skill to set a boundary, then guess what? We probably won't be able to set a boundary. We probably don't even know what they are. We probably also recognize that setting some kind of boundary or saying no is going to inspire all kinds of reaction from other people. Okay? So I think it's really with sensitivity that we walk into this particular topic. That many of us were conditioned not to express anger, and as a result, we are left a little bit defenseless around what that looks like and what it means. And so then there's even more pressure on the other survival strategies, flight and freeze and fawn, in order to compensate for that whole section that is missing. Okay? So boundaries are connected to a healthy framework of anger. And underneath anger is a sense of fear. Something about this scares me. I'm going to get angry to protect myself, and then I'm going to set a boundary. Right? And it sounds very straightforward. In fact, let me give you a very straightforward example. The place that I live has a balcony, and the balcony has a screen door. And I open the screen door to go out, but then I also close the screen door to prevent bugs from coming in and to prevent my cats from going out. And that screen is a very healthy boundary. It's an important boundary. It keeps everybody safe, right? And if I didn't have a boundary, if I didn't have a screen, then there's no way to temper what's coming in. And that's what we want to build the capacity for. Number one is to recognize that there are threats all around us. And there are drains on our time and our energy and our priorities that need mitigating. And that's what we need to set boundaries for, is to keep ourselves safe. So as you walk through that kind of analogy, think about where you could be overcompensating. That's what we talked about in the previous video, where you might be overgiving, and recognizing now that setting a boundary is not just a skill set, not about just choosing the right words, but being safe enough inside of your body to express your needs. And this is where things become a little bit more complicated, right? So this isn't about logic. This is about regulating yourself, resourcing yourself before you decide to have conversations with the people around you, and what kind of time and energy and priorities that you're willing to commit to, okay? I will say this too, that the boundaries are something that has a little bit of a bad rap. In other words, if you don't set boundaries, oh, there's something wrong with you, or you should just set a boundary. And I want you to remember that, look at all the conditioning that goes into being able to say how you feel, feeling safe enough, and then also having a good response from the people around you. Okay, I'll give you an example. As a child, if I was crying, I heard something like, hey, if you want something to cry about, I'll give you something to cry about, right? Which means that expressing a need, expressing an emotion was quite dangerous. And so if that resonates for you, something similar to that happened to you, just know that this is a setup for failure. It means that over the course of our lives, we actually have to rebuild the skill. I think that's where Kundalini Yoga becomes very helpful in terms of helping us pull these memories to really put them in perspective. Number two is to help us resource ourselves so that we can actually express anger to ourselves. Hey, I feel angry. This is anger in my body. This is the sensation of anger. This is what I feel like doing. This is what I'm either getting mobilized and I want to express, or I'm feeling shut down. And that's my coping strategy. And it's when you sit inside of your practice where that really becomes more obvious and you have a base place to look at. Okay, so let's do a little practice together. This is called Fists of Anger. It's literally sounds like what it is. You're going to take your hands, you're going to bring your hands around, your fingers around your thumbs, and you're going to start circling your fists over top of your head. This comes from the world of Kundalini Yoga. We're here for just about a minute, and we're going to start to add a breathing technique. Please join me. Let your body, give your body a little bit of an outlet. Inhale very deeply. Squeeze your thumbs. Exhale completely. Inhale very deeply. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Amazing. Think about that as a quick way to release inner anger. A really good way to just move that stress away so that you can feel yourself. You can acknowledge for yourself, yeah, I feel angry. Remember that there are lots of Kundalini yoga practice for anger here on my channel. I have been recommending the practice for PTSD, which is a very powerful way to work with your brain and the patterns, habitual patterns that we have used in terms of our belief system, patterns in our body, all the compensating factors that we've been using. So today I hope was helpful for you. This is really the crux around building boundaries is regular repetition. It's identifying our needs and then coming into a place of feeling resourced and then finding ways to express. And your expression to other people and their responses. Number one, you have to look out for your safety. You have to do that safely for yourself. And secondly, the responses that you get from other people is information about them, not information about you. And that's a really important factor here as you start to develop this enhanced self-expression, as your consciousness starts to grow, as your nervous system starts to expand from a place of contraction or shrinking, we now start to expand. And that's going to be a little bit of work for the people around you, no doubt about it. And if this resonates and you want more information, come and join my newsletter. One email a week, just to keep you on pace, keep you in reminders about this work that we're doing. And then remember that there are other practices that we can get into about Kundalini Yoga to help with this particular element, and then other containers. Kundalini Yoga training is a really good one. The links are below. I'll be back with the Fawn response and a nervous system view on when you stop fawning. Okay, lots of love to you. My name is Salimah, yoga therapist. Join me for the ride. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. And in the next video, we're talking about what happens when you stop fawning. Lots of love.